Good day, outdoor enthusiasts. This is Bain French of De-Evolution. Let's de-evolve a little bit by coming to understand FATWOOD better. But today we're going to talk about the methods I use to reliably locate it, the physical characteristics I look for to consistently find FATWOOD. Well, why do you want to find it? If you know anything about FATWOOD, you know it is absolutely terrific in its contributions to fire. Not just as tinder, but if you find enough, like this large piece, it could offer plenty of kindling and fuel. It has no equal as far as natural tinders. Regardless of seasonality or precipitation, it's extremely flammable and useful. There will be probably additional posts forthcoming about how I use FATWOOD in varied ways to start fire, but today we're just going to talk about location. So I've been aware of FATWOOD for most of my life. I first found it in early elementary school, which would be the late 70s, if you must know. And at that time, I didn't care too much for it. There were plenty of synthetic tinders available. I was more interested in big game animals and dribbling a basketball. But as I've gotten older, I've become much more interested in the subtle parts of nature, FATWOOD in particular, and I was very surprised to find a relative absence of useful information. There was no complete work on FATWOOD, no authoritative manual had ever been written. And so I did it. It took me 3 years, but I wrote a book on FATWOOD, and I wanted to detail this amazing substance from its biochemical beginnings to its function for a tree, why FATWOOD accumulates in various tree structures in different conifer species, and certainly how to find it and the varied ways of using it for fire. So I'll include a link at the end to that book if you're interested. So we're in northwest Montana where I grew up and moved away, and not long after coming back, this was the first large specimen that I found, and it is very unique in its stature, and it is a heartwood specimen. So FATWOOD will accumulate in various parts of a tree depending on stressors or the environment. Now this tree is long gone. There's just a very subtle remnant of decomposing tissue here, but yet this remains rock solid, and that's a testament to resin's ability to withstand the elements and resist decay. So I spotted this from afar, and I noticed on this windward side it's very gray and it's mostly vegetationless. So vegetation does not like to grow or is unable to grow on deeply resin impregnated wood. So if you find those features, it's certainly worth investigating, and I did. And it passes the thunk test. This is very solid. There's hardly any wiggle. All right, so this FATWOOD extends deep underground into the root wad. So FATWOOD isn't just in the roots in the heartwood, it will accumulate in the sapwood. And sometimes the heartwood is completely gone and there'll be a ring of solid FATWOOD sapwood. But also limb crotches, knots. On this leeward side, very commonly resin will bleed out. And I'll get a close-up of this, but there's just beautiful yellows and ambers, sometimes blacks and purples that will come to the exterior. And if you do see that, it's an absolute certainty that you've got an excellent specimen. This is the exposed surface. It's quite gray. Very little vegetation growing upon it. And on the more protected surfaces of these taller pieces is where you may see the color. And there's beautiful amber and yellow bleeding through almost on this entire surface. So you've found a promising specimen. It's mostly gray, devoid of vegetation. It passed the thunk test. There's hardly any wiggle. So you peel off a wafer, and it has a chalky, grippy feel with the knife. The colors are there, that beautiful smell, which my wife does not like for some reason, is there. And although this step is unnecessary, it's quite fun. So if you get crackling like that, and you see that black, sooty smoke, you know you have it. A normal stick is just not this flammable. Let's find some more. Alright, I spotted one through there. There's one right here as well. It's about 12 inches tall. I believe this to be a Douglas fir stump. Now it's hard to tell if this stump was cut or if this is a tree that died naturally. But we have a gray spear with hardly any vegetation, and it's very solid. The sun is coming up. It's kind of washed out, but this is that second piece. Very similar, solitary spear, although some of these other pieces might harbor fatwood. Most of these are just crumbly, punky uselessness. But this is good, and you could take that with you if you're stronger than I am. But deep, beautiful amber goodness. These lodgepole pine have fallen, and they're pretty far gone. Don't look like much, but the fatwood is in the knots. Right here. These proximal sections that are close to the trunk usually harbor really good amounts. Let's check this one out. We have a limb here. Percusses not so good distally, but as you get more towards that limb crotch, hear that percussion? The chalky, grippy feel is there, the color's there, the smell is there. This whole section is very useful. Here's another one. Beautiful amber. I love that. My wife is crazy. We're in an area here with a lot to offer. It's a pretty good size heartwood specimen. Flat on top, so it was likely logged decades ago. There's a large fallen lodgepole with probably ample goodness in these limb areas, which we'll find out. Then right over here is an item similar to what we've been seeing. Decomposing stump, small heartwood spear. I like to cut these limbs with some length. I can already see the color and smell it. That's beautiful. Perfect for belly wedging. This is belly wedging. Both hands are free, so you have lots of leverage. To make these curls, also known as Maya dust. Here's some pitch that has been exuded from the base of a fallen lodgepole pine. People refer to this as sap, but they are very chemically distinct fluids in a tree. Very flammable, but will not take a spark. The volatile hydrocarbons are gone. This has crystallized. It's very useful as accelerant, kindling. It's solid resin. Right over here is another heartwood piece of fatwood, about 30 inches tall. Look at this cute little thing. Stump is long gone, and there's one piece of usefulness right here. I almost hate to remove it, so I won't. This stump has a few promising spears. Sometimes there's several, dozens, and I've termed that a cathedral. And there's probably some utility at the base of these limbs. It's a whitetail. Now, commonly bears will do some work for you. Black bears rip into a lot of stumps here, revealing numerous useful pieces. Here's a tree, looked like it fell over and was then cut. Now this doesn't percuss too well, but this sure does. Heartwood. It's there, just not very good. I would have expected this to be better, but maybe it is in other places. It's kind of punky in here. Yeah, that's better. There's some veins there. We've made a loop through the woods. This is my driveway. Years ago, I spotted that piece sticking up above the bark of that old Douglas fir stump. It's become one of my favorite pieces. I actually put it in the book. I named it Leonard, after my uncle. Just a beautiful heartwood cathedral type core. It's another piece. There's probably fatwood in that piece.
That thing?
And that is all fatwood.
Cool.
Right, buddy?
What?
You helping me find fatwood? Yeah. This is a structure I've termed a tortoise. Fatwood in the center and the remnants of the bark shell. So this piece has fatwood extending into the roots. It's solid and it's heavy. These small pieces are on the edge of the yard. Probably ponderosa pine, because that's what's right behind it. Beautiful. Streaking of fatwood corresponding with growth rings. Beautiful, rich amber.